50. But know that all these 5 steps of the lights Naranjai, Nefesh, Ruah, Neshama, Haya, Yehida, received from the world of Asiya, are nothing else but the steps of the Naranjai of the light of Nefesh, and in them there is absolutely nothing of the steps of the light of Ruah, for the light of Ruah is nowhere else except in the world of Yetzirah, and the light of Neshama is only in the world of Bria, and the light of Haya is only in the world of Asalet, and the light of Yehida is only in the world of Adam Kadmon. But as we said above, all that which is in the commonality itself is revealed also in all parts, down to the smallest part that can only be distinguished. And therefore all the 5 steps of Naranjai are also available in the Asia's world, accordingly, as we have explained, but they are only Naranjai to Nefesh. And in the same way there are all 5 Naranjai steps in the world of Yetzirah, only they are the 5 parts of the light of the Ruah. And in the same way there are all 5 stages of Naranjai in the world of Bria, and they are the 5 parts of the light, Neshama. And so is the case in the world of Asalet, where they are the 5 parts of the light of Haya. And the same situation is in the world of Adam Kadmon, where they are the 5 parts of the light of Yehida. And the distinction between all the worlds corresponds to what we explained concerning the distinction between all light, Naranjai to Asiya. 51. And know that Teshuvah, return to God, and Tahora, purification, is not attained otherwise than exclusively on a permanent basis, so that no more return, a person, to his folly. Tehillim 85:9. And about this is written, what represents Teshuvah? It is until the knower of secrets bears witness to him, that he no longer returns to his foolishness. Rambam, Hilchot Teshuvah 2:2, Tehillim 85:9. Therefore, as we said, if a person purifies a part of Domem, the inanimate, of his inherent desire to receive, then he is honored with Parkaf Nefesh Da'asha and rises up and clothed the Sphira Malchit Da'asaya. That is to say, he must undoubtedly be graced with the purification of the Domem part solely on a permanent basis, so that no further return to his foolishness. And then he can ascend into the spiritual world of Asiya, for he has inherent purity absolutely equivalent in properties of the world of Asiya. However, as for the rest of the steps that we have spoken of are Ruah, Neshama, Haya, and Yehida Da'asiya, and that it is necessary to purify, respectively, the parts of the Tsamaya, vegetable, high, animal, and Madaber. Speaking, his desires to receive, that they put on these lights and receive them, then the purification need not should occur solely on a permanent basis until he is witnessed by the knower of the secrets, that he will no longer return to his folly. And this is because the entire world of Asiya with all the 5 spirit of Kahab Tum, Kathar, Hakma, Bina, Tefereth, and Malchit, present in it is nothing but 1 step of Malchit, corresponding solely to the purity of Domem. These 5 spirit are only the 5 parts of this Malchit. And therefore, since he, in any case, has been given the purification of the Domem part of the desire receive, he has already acquired a qualitative resemblance to the entire world of Asya, but the essential factor is that each and every spira without exception of the world of Asya receives from its corresponding step in the world higher in relation to it. For example, the spira of Tiferet Asiya receives from the world of Yetzirah, which is the whole, Tiferet and the light of the Ruah. And the spira Bina Asaya receives from the world of Bria, which is all Neshama's stage. And the spira Hakma Asaya receives from the world of Asalat, which is all Hakma and the light of Hea. And therefore, although he has not continually purified anything other than the domem part, nevertheless, if he has purified the other three parts of his desire to receive in any way, without achieving permanence of purification, then he may also receive Ruah, Neshama, Hea from Tiferet, Bina, and Hakma Asaya, but only not on a permanent basis. For when again one awakens one of these three parts of his desire to receive, then it causes him to immediately lose these lights. 52. And after he purifies also a part of Tsamaya, vegetable, of his desire to receive on a permanent basis, he ascends on a permanently into the world of Yetzirah and reaches there on a permanent basis the stage of Ruah, and can comprehend there and of the light of Neshama and Hea from the spies there, i.e. in the world of Yetzirah, the spirit of Bina and Hakma, which are considered the lights of Neshem Deruah and Hea Deruah, even before he was honored with the purification of the high, animal, and Madaber, speaking on an absolutely permanent basis, which is consistent with the explained about the world of Asya, but only not on a permanent basis. For after he had acquired the Tsamaya's purification of his desire to receive on a permanent basis, he is already qualitatively close to the entire world of Yetzirah, to the uppermost of the steps, as mentioned above about the world of Asya. 53. And after he purifies also a part of high, animal, desire to receive and turns it into its opposite, altruistic desire, to the point that there will be testified to him by the knower of secrets that he will no longer return to his foolishness, he is already qualitatively close to the world of Briha and rises and acquires the light there to the light of Neshama on a permanently. And also through the cleansing of the Madaber, speaking, part of his guf, body, he can ascend to the Spira Hakma and receives also the light of Hea that is there, although he has not yet purified that part, on a permanent basis, as said above about the worlds of Yetzirah and Asya. But this light also shines to him not on a permanent basis, as said above. 54. And when he is honored to purify permanently also a part of the Madaber, speaking of his inherent desire to receive, then he is dignified with a qualitative resemblance to the world of Asalat and ascends, and acquires there the light of Hea on a permanent basis. And when he deserves more, he is honored with the light of Ein Sof, infinite, and the light of Yaida, clothed in the light of Hea, and this is not the place to go on about it. 55. And here we have carefully clarified the question which we posed above, in page 41, and we asked why man needs all these higher worlds that the Lord created for his sake, and what the need of this man in them. For it is now clear that man is utterly incapable of acquiring the ability to perform acts that bring a pleasure to his Creator other than by with the help of all these worlds. For as he purifies his inherent desire to receive, he acquires lights and the stages of his soul, called Naranhai, Nefesh, Ruah, Neshama, Heya, Yehida, for the light of each step that he has comprehended, help him to purify himself, and so he ascends his steps until he has attained the joy of having reached the goal set forth in the plan of creation. As stated above, in v.32. And of this spoke the sages in the book of Zohar, Noah, Para. 63, regarding concerning the saying, he who comes to be cleansed, and he asked them how they would help him, and he says, and they help him with the Holy Spirit. C. 4. It is impossible to attain to purification in the desired measure, i.e., the realization of the design of creation, otherwise than with the help of all the steps of the Naranhai soul, as already explained. 56. And it is necessary to know that all these stages souls of Naranhai, Nefesh, Ruah, Neshama, Heya, Yehida, of which we have spoken thus far, are the 5 parts into which all things are divided. In fact, everything that is inherent in the most common commonality is manifested even in the smallest particle of being, as already mentioned. For example, even in the Binat Domem Daasya Harohani alone, only on the non-living level of the spiritual world of Asya, it is necessary to attain the 5 stages of Naranhai, and there is that which belongs to the most general Naranhais. Thus, one can attain even the light of Domem Daasya only through the 4 parts of the service mentioned above. Thus, you will not find person from the people of Israel who would not be obligated to engage in all of these types of service, according to his level, and he must engage in Torah and commandments with Kavanah. Proper motivation, in order to attain the level of Ruah appropriate to his level, and he must engage in the mysteries of the Torah according to his level in order to attain the step of Neshama of the appropriate level, as well as Ta'amei Mitzvot, the deeper meaning of the commandments, for the smallest little light of the world of holiness cannot be fully attained apart from them. 57. And from here you must understand the dryness and darkness that has befallen us in our present generation, of which nothing has ever been heard of the like in any of the generations preceding us, and which is due to the fact that even the faithful servants of the Lord have withdrawn from practicing the mysteries of the Torah, and the Rambam has already cited, may his memory be blessed, had already made Rambam, may the memory of him be blessed, had already made a just analogy in this regard and said that if there's 1,000 blind people in a caravan of blind men are walking along the road, and if there is at least one guide at their head, they are sure that they will go the straight way and will not fall into a trap and a net, for they are following the guide walking at their head. But if they lack that one, then surely they will not overcome any obstacle that lies in the road, and they will all fall into the pit. This also applies to what we are told here, if, at the very least, the faithful servants of the servants of the LRD were engaged in the inner part of the Torah, and attracted to the full light from Ein Sof Baruch Hu, the Infinite, then all the sons of the generation would have reached for them, and all, being on their way, would be assured that they would not be lost. And if the servants of the Lord were alienated from this wisdom, it is no wonder that the whole generation failed because of it. And being very saddened, I can no longer to go on about it. 58. But I know the reason, for not of the books of the Kabbalah and the book of the Zohar, and it is mainly that there has been less faith in general, and faith in the righteousness of God Almighty, sages of generations, in particular, and the books on Kabbalah and the Zohar are full of parables, containing descriptions of the material world. Therefore absolutely everyone is seized with fear, lest is of the material world, so that absolutely everyone is seized with fear, lest his reward should be a loss. For it would not be long before one would fall into the worship of idols and images. This is what prompted me to compile a fairly lucid commentary on the writings Arizal, and now the holy book of the Zohar, and I completely eradicated this fear. For I have clearly explained the moral of each parable, and showed the spiritual meaning of each word, so that, as the readers, to free him from all material associations, to elevate it above space and above time, to enable the whole mass of the people of the house of Israel to study the book of the Zohar and be warmed by its holy light. And I called this commentary with the name Sulam, ladder, to indicate that the purpose of my commentary is the same as the purpose of every ladder, for if thou hast found an elevation full of all grace, then in order to ascend there you are lacking only a ladder, is missing, and then all the grace of the world is in your hands. But this ladder is not an end in itself, for if you rest on the steps of the ladder and do not ascend to the top, then what you have planned will not be fulfilled. Such is the case with my commentary on the book of Zohar, for to explain the words of the sages, the deepest of the deepest, to the very end, as long as no verbal constructions. But, at any rate, in this commentary of mine, I have outlined the way and approach for every son of man, so that he may, through this commentary, ascend and deepen and gaze into the book of the Zohar itself, for only then will what I intended in this commentary. 59. And all who are close to the holy book of the Zohar, that is, those who understand what is written in it, unanimously agree that the holy book Zohar was compiled by the divine Tana, i.e., the sage of Mishnah times, Rabbi Shimon ben Yohei. Unlike those who are far from this wisdom, for there are those among them who doubt its authorship and are inclined to speak based on stories fabricated by the opponents of this wisdom, that the author of the book of the Zohar is Kabbalist Rabbi Moshe D. Leon or others who lived around the same time. 60. And as for myself, from the day I had the honor, through the light of the Lord, of understanding a little of this holy book, it never occurred to me to investigate who its author was, and this is for the simple reason that, according to the contents of this book, I was convinced of the extraordinary height of Tana Rashbai, the sage of the Mishnah times of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, who is immeasurably above the level of all the saints to name. And if it were clear to me with absolute clear that the name of the author of the Book of Zohar is other, such as Rabbi Moshe de Leon, may the memory of blessed be the memory of him, or another, then would I would consider that the great height of the venerable Rabbi Moshe de Leon, may his memory be blessed, is higher than that of all the Tanaim saints, including Rashbi among them. And in fact, the depth of the wisdom contained in this book is such that if I were to found out that its author was one of the 48 prophets, it would be more to my heart than the authorship of one of the Tanaim, and even more so if it turned out that Moshe Rabbeinu received it on Mount Sinai from the Lord himself. It would have calmed my mind completely, for it would be in keeping with the merits of the used expression from the Passover Haggadah, of such composition. And therefore, since I have had the honor to compile a commentary sufficient equally for any reasonable person to a little understanding of what is written in this book, I think that because of this circumstance I have been entirely relieved of the necessity to wrestle with the question, and myself to pursue research on the subject. For no man knowledgeable in the book of the Zohar could no longer would rest easy if its author could be a man on a level lower than that of the holy Tana, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. 61. In fact, this raises the question arises as to why the book of the Zohar was not revealed to the generations of Rishonim, who were undoubtedly on a more significant stage than the generations of Aharonim, and were more deserving of this book, and yet one wonders why the commentary on the book of the Zohar was not revealed. Commentary on the book of the Zohar either by the time of Arizal, nor to the Kabbalists who preceded him. And the most amazing of all this, literally, amazing, surpassing them all, in the words of Mishlei 31:29, why the explanations of the words of the Arizal and the words of the book of Zohar from the Arizal's days to our present generation. See in my preface to the book of Panim Masbarat on Etzheim in N8, beginning with the words, and it is written, understand carefully what it says. The question arises, are, now, the generations have become better? Babylonian Talmud, Tractate Yevamot, p. 39. And the answer is this. The world during its 6,000 years of existence is like one partsef, in which there are 3/3, Rosh, the head, Tak, the inside of the body, and Saf, limit, extremity, that is habit, Hakma, Bina. Da'at, Hagath, Hezd, Vura, Tefereth, Nehi, Netzach, Had, Esad. And this is what our sages said, may the memory of them be blessed. May their memory be blessed, 2 millennia, chaos, 2 millennia, Torah, and 2 millennia are the days of Mashiach, Babylonian Talmud, Tractate, Sanhedrin, p. 97a. For in the 2 first millennia, representing the Rosh and Habit stages, shone very small lights, and they were considered the Rosh stage without guff, head without body, in which there is nothing but lights of Nefesh. For the lights in the vessels are arranged in mutually opposite order, since there is a law in the vessels. The first vessels in the whole Parkaf are revealed first, and as for the lights, on the contrary, the lower lights are clothed in the Partsef, and, moreover, it appears that they are not in any vessels except the highest ones, that is to say, only the Nefesh lights descend to clothe themselves in the vessels of habit, and they are the lowest lights. And this is written about concerning the first 2 millennia, that they are on the stage of chaos. And in the second 2 millennia of the world, representing the stage of Haggad of vessels, came down and clothed the world, the light Ruah, which is the essence of the Torah. And that is why said, the sages, of the 2 middle millennia, that this is the Torah. And the last 2 millennia are Neim Dekalim, Netzach, Hod, Esod, and Malchut. Vessels, and that is why the world is clothed at this time. The light of Neshama, the greater light in intensity, and therefore, these are the days of Mashiach. The same thing happens in every private parkuf, in the vessels of Habad Haggad. Up to his haze of light are hidden, and it does not begin to openly shine the light of Hasidim, which means revealing the Hirat Hakma Elon, the luminescence of supreme wisdom, only from haze and below, that is, in his Hiyam. And this is the reason that until the time, when the Parsif of the world began to unfold the vessels of Hiyam, which represent the wisdom of the book of Zohar in general and the wisdom of the Kabbalah in particular was hidden from world, only in the time of arisal, when already the time of the formation of the vessels from haze and below, was revealed in the world the glow of supreme wisdom. Thanks to the divine soul of Rabbi Yitzhak Luria, may his memory be blessed, i.e. Arisal, who was ready to find this great light and therefore revealed the fundamentals contained in the book of the Zohar, as well as the Kabbalah wisdom to such an extent that he surpassed all the Rishonim, his predecessors. And at the same time, since these vessels were not yet fully formed, for he is known to have died in the year 5332, therefore the world was not yet worthy to have his words. And his holy words were the fate of only of a select few. For they were not the power to reveal them to the world. And now, in this generation, after and in view of the fact that we are nearing the end of the last two millennia, the power has been given to reveal to the world the words of it, may the memory of it be blessed, and the words of the book of the Zohar in a very significant measure. Thus, from our present generation and beyond, the words of the book of the Zohar will be revealed more and more, until they are fully revealed to the full extent desired by the Lord.